One of the innovations that would be so cool to see Apple work towards is that voxel of cross coordination where the screen state cross computes using a formula where the dynamic screen change or frames per second works towards infinity of energy reduction or impact on the personal system. And so it's kind of the right node of influence, but it's tough to cross compute because sometimes you're present there in trying to tune the amount of alertness in the person to keep that even keel predicted, and that's a challenging dynamo to keep nested in logic. But then you can create these cascading screens of basically LED, or better yet, just crossed lattices of, semiconduction. And then it becomes thinner and thinner or lighter, such that you end up with maybe a radial band with a completely hollow screen. And it projects using the edge state and maybe a beam circuit array. And so the entire ends of the antenna array is a directional energy, what would you call it? A change state, like the serial number of the system. That serial number represents how, using that logic of uh, intercepts of integers, you create a fieldscape of what the edges are. The numbers on the edges is your prime coordinate channels of what's distributed in those voxel nodes of true. And so then you can use the edge of gravitational waves to store light itself in dark nests of energy, retained such that it's not making an impact until it's actually released. And that's like the lowest use of energy to the individual, such that then it becomes, not seen by the outside, or is not wasted energy. And so then, the light field ends up being a very cheap system for the environment. The LEDs then become processors of your room. So then the emission characteristic of those cross computed screens, I don't know how much of this apple you need to hang on to. But anyways, the idea is to imagine the crystalline structure of, De Beers savings account number sector 9, for how that serial integer set of molecular interconnects and the molecular movement being cross computed into light lag clusters of deformation characteristics then helps with energy balances down to what, like deuterium, and imagining the ramparts of a boron neutron gradient on a gradient of what, carbon graphite. Is it like a little kicker node for that first LED to beam skate through enough of those different systems, even the distributed ones, to get the right amount of amplification to basically use field logic to cross simplify gravitational wave characteristics precisely, such that you can use calculi and approach the limit of and intercept at the right address for mathematics in that grid node lattice. So, because you've got pipelines and orbital developments of both actual chunks of matter and what it can pass through in an atmosphere without colliding with other physical objects, being one function of the order of operations versus the energies of dissipation through the different, waves distributed, such that our energy beam channels are designed to not deformate the wrong system based off of what involves themselves with a unison type mentality of frequency and inherent trade characteristics. Because how else do you best intercept that logic of all civilizations being able to exist inside of a point sphere?